Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer, and in today's video we're going to be making this lovely stocking. It's Santa's poinsettia tree, and here's what it comes with. It comes with instructions and a nice chart and a picture and a bunch of felt. So we're gonna I actually went ahead and cut out the first piece that we'll work on. It's got all the stamps on there, so it makes it easy. And I also went ahead and cut out my lining. I went to Joann's and bought some extra felt fabric to put my lining in, because the kits do not come with lining felt. So, I also have this ring, pre-sorted my thread, and it comes with pre-sorted beads and 2 needles. So the very first step is to add the beads and sequins. So if you are brand new to these kits, I will show you step by step how I put them together. And I try not to do a lot of repeated motions. So if you miss a step, go ahead and rewind and re-watch it. If you have any questions about any type of Bucilla kits, I will be happy to answer them. I've done so many and I've learned so much. I'm very self-taught. So for my beads and sequins, I use 2 strands of embroidery thread, and I double knot in the back. This is a personal choice. In the instructions, it does say to use 1 strand for beading, but I have found in the past that I've had thread break on me quite a bit, so I just decided to double up on my thread for beads. That's just a personal preference, and that's what I like. So okay, so got all the beads and sequins on here and down there. And now we're just gonna applique the top piece, grab some pins, and let's. So for the top, I used an applique stitch. If you don't know how to do that, I will link my applique stitch video at the very top of the video. There's a card up there. Go ahead and click that link and it'll show you the applique stitch. It's rather simple. And that's all for that piece. Now we're gonna use the scallops. And I'm just looking at the alphabet because every kit comes with an alphabet, so you can trace whatever name you're going to put on. And this is the name I'm going to put on this stocking because this is for a family member. So what I do is I use lined paper, and because lined paper is see-through enough to where I can actually put the paper underneath and trace it. And then I use tissue paper to transfer the name onto the felt. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. So tissue paper or gift wrap paper, whatever you want to call it, it's see-through enough to where I can see the name and I can easily write on it with a pencil. And then we're going to pin it onto the stocking. Now this part, I already showed you how to be in sequin, so I figured I might as well go ahead and do that off camera. And we're going to put the name on here. I don't show a lot of the names because a lot of the kits that I do are for orders. But because this is a family stocking, I was able to actually share the name. So okay, so I'm actually going to show you how I do this. I'm using 2 strands of green, and that's per the instructions. You can do any color you want, really. I'm just doing what the kit is suggesting. It's a nice contrast to the white. You could do any color. So, okay, so for the names, I use the outline stitch, but you don't have to use the outline stitch. I've seen people use back stitch. I've seen people even use the chain stitch, which I think is kind of cool looking. But normally I use the outline stitch because it's fairly quick and I can get around corners pretty easily. So if you've done a kit and you've done names, how do you put the name onto your stocking? Leave a comment below. I would love to hear how you guys do it. I used to do lined paper and put the lined paper onto the stocking, but after a while my hands just were too dry. I couldn't quite get the needle through the paper because the paper is not as sewable as tissue paper, so I graduated to tissue paper. Okay, so I skipped ahead because it took me a while to get the name on here. And here's the back. I like to go through to the back just to have that security. And what's great about tissue paper is I can just tear it off. And make sure you're gentle, because if your stitches are not as tight, they will come out. You will pull on them and kind of warp it. So I just like to take the big pieces off really slowly. And then I go back and grab my tweezers and get all the little pieces that are stuck in there. Like the little O, little circle in the O, I use tweezers for that. Here are my tweezers. I can just go back and get the pieces that I missed. And take your time here, because the tissue paper is white, so it's a little bit harder to see with a white background. Luckily, it's tissue paper, so it's not like, you know, an eyesore or anything. Okay, tissue paper has been removed promptly. And now we're going to work on the present. So the present has cording. Okay, if you don't know how to make cording, I will link that in the cards above and in the description box. So check those videos out. They're very short and very helpful. I've had a lot of people compliment them. So finding a decent video on cording is a little challenging. But we're making cording, and I believe this kit is 4 strands of thread, so it's 8 total, if I remember. It's either 8 or 6, 3 or 4. I can't remember. But it is thicker, so take your time and do the method that I just did to place your cording. And then the pink is just another outline stitch. Okay, so I'm making the bow for the present, and honestly there's no directions on how to even create the bow, so I kind of made this up as I went. So I grabbed my tomato and I'm using pins to secure the edges, and then I grabbed my needle and the thread and I tied it in the middle. Ta-da! There's a bow. I just literally, I made it up. Like, this is not how the instructions say to make the bow. It really doesn't give you any instructions. It just says make the bow. So I created the cording, which you can see, and then I just looped it around a couple of pins, and then I tied a knot in the middle. I think I did a couple of knots in the middle to make it nice and tight, and then there you go. You've got a bow. I figured this actually turned out rather well, considering I made it up on the spot. Okay, the goal here is to try and match what's pictured on the kit. So I'm trying to do that. I'm just going to remove these real quick, and then we'll have our nice little bow. Ta-da! Okay, so then you can fluff it out or however you want to do it. And then I use the string that's attached to the bow. I just take this one off because I don't need it anymore. But then I take this middle string, and that's what I'm going to attach it with. So I ended up attaching it, and then it calls for a bead and sequin right on top. And then the present is stuffed, and then I just used an applique stitch to stuff it, to applique it onto there. So we're going to do the next present, number 9, present number 9. And this one is rather simple. And I'm going to just show you how to put the bow together. So this one's a simple bow. We fold it 3 times. So 1, 2, and then up and over 3. And I think, I'm gonna use a bead and sequin to close this. Sometimes the kits say just to like applique close, but I think according to the picture they want a bead and sequin on there, so I'm like, well, I might as well just use the bead and sequin to close the bow. Kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone type of deal. I'm just positioning it how I want it. Okay. Okay, now we're going to add the sequin and the bead. That's kind of cute. Okay, go back down. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to attach it. Right about there, roughly. Okay. It's a little bit of a maneuvering, but I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so I ended up applicating the little strip first, and then I added the bow on top, and then I stuffed it. So that one is fairly simple, luckily. Nice and clean on the back. And then we're going to work on, oh yeah, there's a black an outline stitch right there. So this green leaf has the dark green outline stitches. I'm going to try my best to line it up. And then we're just going to applique this. Okay, that was just appliqued, no stuffing, just laid flat. And that kind of hangs over the edge. And then this yellow piece goes on top. And I just kind of double check everything to make sure the lines meet up. So, okay, we are done with Santa's bag, completely stuffed. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. I do all kinds of embroidery stuff. So give this video a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that you like this video and you want to see more. And this is what we have so far on the poinsettia stocking. We're going to work on Santa next. So make sure to check out that video when it comes out. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.